History of Water, a perspective on the ANC is insightful, and it gives the reader perspective on the ANC's 100 years through a compilation of dialogues. The version is led by respected scholars, Professor Kwandiwe Khondlo, Emeritus Professor Chris Saunders, and Dr. Siphamandlla Zondi. Now joining us now to tell us more about this read, we're joined from our Durban studios, Qondile Khedama, who's the General Manager of the Mangaung Municipality. Sir, good morning. Welcome to Morning Live.
Morning, madam, and morning to the to the viewers of Morning Live.
All right. For the benefit of our viewers, give us a brief synopsis of what the book is about.
Well, the book is attempting to trace the life and the history of the African National Congress. You'd remember that this book was made or compiled just after the 100 years of the ANC celebration. And for us as the city, it was an important book because we played a role in the dialogues that were happening on the eve of the centenary itself. Now, what was important again is that these dialogues happened at the Mangaung itself, and they happened at the time when everybody was looking at the Mangaung and this celebration. We then said as the city, we will contribute into these dialogues just to make sure that we form part of the history, because you can't isolate Mangaung from the history of the African National Congress. Mm-hmm. The good thing is that the book itself is compiled, as you indicate, by world-renowned scholars like Prof Kwandiwe, Siphamandlla, and Chris Saunders. And they later said to us they would appreciate if the city really forms part of the launch, because we participated. Now, what I noticed as I reviewed the book myself is that you cannot compress the history of the African National Congress into a couple of pages. But it is a good read, and it's a read that will assist even the researchers who are in the space of research and academia.
All right. Now, why, in your opinion, were the three scholars listed in the intro perfect to be part of the book as a historical narrative?
When the dialogues were taking place, they were led by your well-known intellectuals. For example, Adeye was one of them. Professor Benturok led a discussion on political economy, and we during that process, we were able to learn, and I'm sure even people who participated into these discussions learned a lot with regards to the African National Congress. But what was also interesting, it is that one of the presenters during those dialogues was able to dig deep into the history of the ANC. You'd remember, if I'm not mistaken, African National Congress is the longest existing liberation movement, and I do not think the ANC itself is leveraging out of this rich history that it has, because it's a history that can lessons that can be drawn by Africa itself and by the world, because very few really liberation movement exist for more than 100 years. So that is what was making ANC, or was distinguishing ANC as a political organization. And we as the city, we felt proud to be part of the entire process.
Who is this book aimed at?
Well, as I indicated, as I read it, one could pick it up, that it will assist those who are into research space. But secondly, it is a good read for everybody, because I think they are able to touch on to a number of things, amongst other things that it contains, subjects that it contains. It relates to issues related to gender, economy, and Pan-Africanism. So if you look at some of the concepts or ideologies today, they are beginning to fade away. But when you look at them, for example, Pan-Africanism itself, it forms part of the history of the ANC. Economic freedom, it forms part of the history of the ANC. Now it then shows you how rich is the history of the ANC and how can we draw lessons from that history, giving it today's perspective, because obviously the goalposts have changed, things are happening, and for you to be able to locate and give sense into the current epoch of our struggle, it will be better to revert back into that history.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for talking to us. Qondile Khedama is the General Manager of the Mangaung Municipality, talking to us about that book, History of Water, a Perspective on the ANC. Now, this week we're giving away the 2014